you've talked about working with Jackson and you've kind of hinted.
Yeah.
I would love to kind of dive into that because
Yeah.
obviously if if you didn't have the chemistry with Jackson, it
Oh,
wouldn't have worked the way it needed to,
it would have been a
even though,
nightmare.
yeah, I mean, the story is so interesting because it's kind of this, he's a man of mystery. And so there is this
Yeah.
kind of aloofness to his character,
Mhm.
but obviously he's a really cool guy who isn't
Yeah.
like that at all. So, and that's the beauty of acting. But I would love to hear a little bit about, so you've painted a beautiful picture of how you ended up,
Yeah.
being his partner in this
Yeah.
process. So, did you have any time at all to prepare with him before anything happened? And then once you kind of got into set, and you're like, what was that like when you got to be like there with him and starting the
Yeah.
filming process?
I've been really, really lucky with the last two projects I've been on where the leading men have been just beautiful, kind human beings. And I think when you're starting from like when the starting blocks are that,
Hmm.
it's you know that you can let go and trust. Because I think the biggest element of this kind of film, because I don't think I've ever, have I? No. I've never done a film or a project or even played it that's been so just really two people in
Hmm.
most of the scenes. So you are together all day, every day. The poor man couldn't get rid of me. And then even to the extent that I remember on weekends, like I'd go on a run and because we were both staying in the same hotel. So even when he probably wanted space, I'd be going on a jog and I'd bump into him and he was on a phone call. So it was inseparable during that time. And I was just so lucky that I think as I knew from the first chemistry read, because we'd worked together, I'd never worked with him, but I knew that we had a commonality with our coach. We had the same coach previously. And as
Okay.
soon as I made that bridging gap, I could tell that we were on the same wavelength for those scenes. And then I didn't see him again until first day of pre-production when we were doing the looks. So we were
Okay.
doing hair dyes, and I think we met up for lunch. And I remember being like, okay, I'm gonna be okay. We're gonna be fine. Because it is nerve-wracking that first, because everything's done on Zoom now. Chemistry
Mhm.
reads are on Zoom. So the very first time we met is, we both were like, okay, well, regardless of if this is going to be comfortable or not, we're in this. But that wasn't the case. As soon as I met him, it was just, I knew I could relax and trust. And like I said at the start, I think anything that has this level of intimacy in it, and,
Mhm.
and a lot of it needs a level of trust and safety.
Right.
And from day one, we just had really, really open conversations about how we wanted to tackle this. Even things like we spoke about playlists for the characters, music,
Oh,
and do we want a joint playlist? And would that what sort of would it help to listen to that before we do scenes together?
mhm.
Which we actually ended up doing, and all of that we actually planned out on day one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we decided on day one when we met, we were sort of discussing what, where we're from, all of those things. And you get past the surface level and it's into, okay, how are we going to make this authentic?
Mhm.
And what can help us along the way and what's going to help us get into scenes because we had a really fast filming schedule.
Mhm.
So we knew that in a day we were going to be covering completely different sections of a story, and therefore their level of intimacy is going to be jumping all over the place. So we
Mhm.
really needed to both be on the same page with, okay, whereabouts are we at this moment? And we worked in close conjunction with our intimacy coordinator, Christy, who basically we had 2 weeks working together with her, and we would both sit there and discuss whereabouts they are on that journey.
Mhm.
So we made a joint playlist, and before scenes, we would listen to specific songs, and we would just sit cross-legged. The crew would just be walking around us like, "Are these guys okay?" We would just sit cross-legged, listening to the same song. so
Mhm.
that when we started the scene, we were both on exactly the same wavelength.
So like when I guess I have to ask this question now,
Yeah.
but so like with the scene, like the pole dancing scene, does that mean there's a pole dancing playlist that maybe was different than the music we heard, but something?
Yes. So the music, especially with any of the intimacy scenes, sometimes as well, we would be playing our music, which
Okay.
much to the sound department's dismay, and I'm apologizing now to them all, and they all probably hate us, but Jackson and I would sometimes play our music over those some of those scenes. But the pole dancing, yes, we ended up filming two versions. I had a slower version of that song that
Okay.
I listened to that was more about sort of the connection. And
Mhm.
so when we filmed, it actually ended up doing one version that was slower, mainly for a lot of the looks and the pausing and the musicality. And then we would do the sped up version. So
Interesting.
yeah, that's a good question. There were definitely sections where we might be on a different music to what you guys are listening.